Plaintiff Steve Godfrey rented a house to the defendants, and at first things were good. Steve claims after the defendant was in a car accident, they were unable to pay rent, so Steve is suing. Defendants Amanda Parsons and her husband Sean say after Sean was in a near-fatal car accident, Steve told them they didn't have to worry about paying the rent. They're countersuing because they claim Steve assaulted their 7-year-old nephew.
Start with you.
Your Honor, I met the tenants, the Parsons, in March. They rented a house for me. First 3 months went
What was the
wonderful.
agreement?
The
on the
agreement
rental?
was that they would live with their his brother and his wife and their 5 or 6 children. I don't.
The amount of the rent.
The amount of the rent, $1,700.
All right. And that was when did they move in?
March 1st of this year.
All right. Go ahead.
For the first 3 months, everything went great. I thought they were great tenants. Then I started to observe that they were doing a lot of partying, having bonfires, drinking. 3 months later, Sean, the defendant, and his brother, Steve, were in a drunk driving accident where they were both
Sir, can I
severely...
interrupt, please?
Yes, what?
That was not correct. Our brother was drugged. He was roofied at a bar. They had only had 2 drinks that night. They weren't drunk.
Did the authorities get involved?
Yes, and there is a full case.
Did they go to court?
I'm not aware of that, Your Honor.
they
They
go to
were in
court?
intensive care.
Right now, the bar is under investigation for
I
multiple.
said, did they go to court
No,
for
there has
the
been-
charges that he's discussing?
No, there was no charges.
Okay, they weren't charged.
Not at this point, Your Honor.
How do you know so much about it then?
The day after Amanda came to me, the only vehicle they had was totaled in this accident. The entire situation was explained to me by them.
Okay.
They wanted to borrow a vehicle from
So
me.
they said, we were drunk driving and crashed, so can we borrow yours? Does that make sense to you?
No, Your Honor.
What happened again?
The drivers of the vehicle,
The other drivers, not...
It was a single vehicle accident. We rolled the car. Both of our blood alcohol contents were under the legal limit.
Okay.
My brother's toxicology report came back, and there was drugs in his system that were a very high dose.
Of something that you can't even get without a prescription for seizures.
What type?
Benzodiazepine.
It makes you black out.
Yes, and it causes amnesia.
Okay.
that's news to me, Your Honor.
Well, that's not true because
It
I
didn't.
told
It
you.
doesn't do that to you. You open yourself up for that. All right. So that's what you say, and the defendants regarding the drunk driving say it's different. So let's move on. What type of tenants were they?
They were really good tenants, Your Honor, for the first 3 months. The accident occurred. They were all of a sudden unable to pay the rent. I've got text messages from them asking, do we need to worry about the rent?
What do you mean, do we need to worry about it?
Exactly. And I said, absolutely. The
He said,
rent.
no, don't worry about it. Just give me my money. Don't worry.
Yes.
May I interrupt again?
Yes.
I had messaged him the night of the accident, informed him that my husband and our brother were in a car accident. And the next morning he called me, and I have a witness statement from my mother-in-law who overheard the conversation also of him saying, do not worry about July's rent.
Okay, I'm curious about why you called him right after
I
the
didn't
accident.
call him. I just informed him that there was an accident.
How did you inform him?
I texted him, informed him.
Okay, texting these days? No, I didn't call him. I text him. All that's smart to me. That's being a smarty.
I'm
and
sorry.
that doesn't get you very far in here. Facts, it puts you in the hole.
I'm sorry.
All right. Go ahead, sir.
Steve was the driver, Sean's brother. Okay, he was the primary income earner, and his wife was a secondary primary.
But were they injured and unable to go to work?
Yes.
Okay.
Steve was, yes. He was in intensive care
There you go.
for a long time.
That's what I need to hear. All
Yes.
right.
Yes.
And what was your response?
My response was, yes, the rent still has to be paid.
Okay. And you have that text?
Yes.
All right. You give me some background on whatever you want me to know.
He was not the primary earner. His wife was, and he's an independent contractor. His work was slow at the time, and I worked full time as well. All three of us were earners in the house, while my wife was that home parent for all of the children and the housekeeper. And as far as the conversation that was said about paying rent, I have the witness statement of my mother-in-law that
Your mother.
my mother, I'm sorry, that stated that not to worry about July's rent.
She told you not to worry about her rent.
No.
She told you not to worry about his rent?
No, my mother overheard him saying that we didn't have to pay July's
Overheard
rent.
him saying it to who? To you all?
My wife. Wife.
She overheard it.
Yes.
All right.
I was still in the hospital at the time, so.
Tell me about this phone conversation, ma'am, that your mother-in-law overheard, or?
Yes, Your Honor, I'm sorry. I had my phone on speakerphone. I don't have the best phone. It's broken, so I use it on speakerphone. So my husband was in the room, as was my mother-in-law. He told us not to worry about July's rent, and that if we needed a vehicle, he would give my husband the black.
When did he say that?
It was the day after the accident, Your Honor.
When was the accident?
June 7th of this year.
Okay, so on June 8th,
Yes.
he said, don't worry about it. Was it ever discussed again?
Well, he told me that rent still needed to be paid, so that's why I texted him asking him if it needed to happen still.
I'm confused. I thought all that was to say he forgave the debt. Now you're coming back around and saying he didn't forgive the debt.
Yes, Your Honor, that is exactly
Guess what?
happened. That is what happened. He told
He
us
forgave the debt?
Yep, and then told us that we had to pay it and served us with a 5-day notice.
Okay, show me where he forgave it.
I don't.
Oh, that was only by phone.
Yes.
Because he has it by text.
Okay.
Here says rent need to be paid.
Yes.
And your counterclaim for harassment and emotional distress is for what?
Go ahead.
He would come over to the house drunk all the time. He would get out of his car drinking beers. He physically assaulted my nephew, who was 7 at the time.
Why?
He smacked him.
Why? Do you know?
He was trying to get all the kids to play with him, and none of them wanted to. He was trying to.
He was trying to get all the kids to play with him.
Yes, sir. And he proceeded to smack him.
Because he wouldn't play
Yes,
with
sir.
him. Okay. How about the other kids? He let them off the hook?
No, the rest of the kids went inside.
They ran.
Because
when they saw the other one getting smacked.
They don't like him. And my eldest niece, every time he would come over, she would go outside.
What did the police say? Did they arrest him?
There was no police report filed.
Are you kidding me? This man physically abuses a 7-year-old and you don't call the police on a man that physically abuses a 7-year-old? I can't believe you.
It wasn't our place, Your Honor. It was our brother's.
Oh, yes, it is. You see a 7-year-old getting physically abused by a grown-up, it's everybody's place to call the police. So, I'm going to dismiss your claim and grant yours. Their only defense was you told them they didn't have to pay, and clearly this says they do. Have a good day.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You're a piece of and I hope you go to hell.
What's up, Amanda?
You're a piece of I hope you're happy with yourself slapping my 7-year-old nephew, coming into my house when I'm laying in bed. You were in our garage using my brother's tools while he was lying in the hospital, half dead. I have pictures. I hope you die.
I was in the garage fixing a lawnmower so that you could mow the grass.
No, you weren't.
When the lawnmower
Actually, you brought your own lawnmower and you mowed the grass yourself because my brother couldn't do it. That was probably the only nicest thing that you did for us.
How about the vehicle you're driving now?
Yeah, the car.
That? Where'd you get that from?
Plaintiff Callie Sewell says she was looking for someone to take over her lease, and the defendant answered her ad. But he turned out to be a wolf in sheep's clothing who abuses drugs. Callie suing him today for a security deposit and rent. Defendant Eric Stocksliger says Callie is antagonistic, and every time she talked to him, she was aggressive. Eric claims Callie even sent her boyfriend over to intimidate him, but he ended up confessing to Eric that he was gay.
Start with you.
Sir, this man, I cannot even look at him right now. He is like a wolf in sheep's clothing. Like the worst kind of wolf, Your Honor. The kind that just like tears up Little Red Riding Hood, ruins the Three Little Pigs, except in this case, I'm Little Red Riding Hood, and he blew down my house. Your Honor.
Where do you all know each other from? Where did you meet?
Social media brought us together. Social.
Dating?
The things. No. The little, like.
Just back and forth? Just.
The book with the face. That one.
Facebook. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. The book with the face. All right.
I needed somebody to take over. At least I had. I'm a single mom. My dad had a heart surgery, and I needed to move into his house and help him with some bills. So I put an ad up, and Eric was the person that responded to my ad.
He began a tenancy with you, obviously?
Yes. I met him. He met my kid and my dad, knew our whole situation, and I signed a lease agreement with him for 7 months.
And how much was the rent per month?
It was $850.
Okay. Beginning when?
In October.
All right. Let me hear from you, sir. Give me some background.
Well, basically, we were both going through a rough patch. It became apparent when we met. Her father was ill, and my mom had just passed recently, and I was going through a divorce.
Okay.
So we were both, it was a beneficial situation for both of us. But, I mean, her attitude, she's vicious, malicious, divisive. She's very antagonistic in general.
You lived there with him?
I don't know what he's talking to about. I'm a social worker.
Were you living there?
No, and I'm not vicious.
Where do you get all this from? How often
she
would you see her?
She was just belligerently calling me constantly.
Recently?
Within the last few months, but
how long did you live there?
From, November to the middle of February.
And when did she become belligerent and do all these things to you?
February, around that time.
Why do you think she changed?
Well, she originally said that I didn't owe the $500.
No, we're talking about the treatment. That's what we were. Weren't. I know that's where you were gonna skip to. She treated you like that because you wouldn't pay. So that's why I want to ask you: when did she start treating you like that? When you moved in November, it was fine. Everything was fine until February. That's when she started mistreating you. So you claim, belligerent towards you, calling you all the time,
right,
as if there was no reason. So when did you stop paying rent? Watch this.
February was the time. But, just in general, her dealings with me in the past were very aggressive.
Tell me, other than when you stopped paying rent, what was wrong? Because you told me that everything was fine beginning in November and the fine treatment ended in February. Coincidentally, the time you stopped paying rent.
It actually worsened more in February. But
what was wrong before then?
Well, she just kept trying to harass me about money she said I owed, which she had already said in the past that I didn't, that it was fine. She just
What money was this? He had already owed money prior to him stopping in February?
No, the important part he's forgetting is that this young man ended up having an addiction with internet weird drugs like Flocka.
Internet what?
Those weird drugs you buy online like the Flocka and the K2. So all that he's talking about is his crazy brain coming out.
So there was no other debt discussed prior to February? No other back debt? Okay, so there was.
That wasn't paid.
And he said you would.
Amazing.
What would she do as a result of your failure to pay the security deposit?
She tried to intimidate me with threats and things. She just said that she was going to take me to court somehow.
Beat you up.
Well, she did send her boyfriend over, and I think that was an attempt to intimidate me. He just basically, originally he came over a few times just trying to ask about money, and then he came over later and kind of, I guess we had a little heart-to-heart. He revealed some intimate personal details that I didn't really ask to find out about his sexuality or his leanings, and I really did. That's when things got awkward to the point where I just wanted to
gay or bisexual?
I believe he is homosexual.
All right, so why did he tell you? Out of all the people.
I think he would.
When he got alone with you, he just decided to mention that.
Honestly, I don't.
I've
really,
been around a lot of gay guys and ultimately found out they were gay, but I wasn't the one they told.
I feel like
Y'all didn't go any further, did you?
No. I feel like.
I'm just asking.
I feel like maybe her personality, her aggressiveness, maybe rubbed him the wrong way, and maybe he felt alone or pressure or something.
And he thought you might be able to help with that situation.
I think that maybe he's the wolf. I don't know, something, you know. But
so you were rubbing her the wrong way, and he was rubbing you the wrong way.
Maybe he was attempting to. I don't know. Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with this man being gay if that's the case.
Not.
So, but you just wanted to point that out. He may be a dishonest guy toward her.
Exactly.
That's your point.
Exactly. And it made things way more awkward than they had to be in the first place, honestly. But
all right. And the $3,050 specifically, what does he owe that for?
Security deposit, right?
So how much was that?
$500.
And he never paid it.
Right. It's listed in the lease as October rent was $500, but it is a security deposit. Like, it developed itself.
And he acknowledges that?
Yes.
Okay.
In text messages.
$500 was
I never received a copy of the lease.
All right, but do you know you were to pay $500 for a security deposit?
I mean, she verbally had an agreement.
You've never seen the lease?
I signed it, but...
So then you have seen the lease. Do you have a copy today?
I do have a copy.
And you playing crazy. You don't know anything about a $500 deposit.
I mean... If it's on writing, it is what it is, but we had a verbal agreement that seemed to be dismissed, and she, you know.
That's not true.
So, I don't feel like I owe it, honestly, but.
All right, what about the other amount, ma'am?
It's $850 in rent for February, March, and April, because his lease was from October to April.
Sir?
If anything, I would say I might owe something for February, even though I didn't spend the entire month there.
Why didn't you?
What I previously mentioned, situation with her boyfriend made things really weird. She was.
How often was he coming over?
Once a week there at the towards the end, yeah. And I was like,
was that in the evening? Daytime?
They had a key, so.
Did he have drinks in his hand? Did he come with drinks in his hand?
Unfortunately, I don't know. Well, I put it into it before it escalated further to that degree. But I tried to move a friend in to try to take over the lease. She refused to deal with them. She continued to harass me, and then.
Okay. What happened to the replacement? What happened?
Well, she kept showing up, and then boyfriend was coming over.
She kept showing up,
but she showed up a few times and kept calling.
The friend did move in?
Yes. He was there for about a week and a half, and then he freaked out because of the situation. But he was very much didn't want to deal with any of it.
Junk, sir. And the reason I'm messing with you is folks these days do the same thing they've done to many other communities. Is they try and use this stereotype to influence a case or to influence somebody's opinion, sir. I'm not listening to that. They'll say that, hey, the black guy came over here and he looked like he was going to steal from me, or he looked like he was going to get violent, and so that's why I had to leave, Your Honor, because black guy looked like he was going to get violent. Oh, really? Yeah, black guy violent? Oh, okay. Yeah, that probably was the case. So now you're using he's gay to try and deter me from the reality of what happened.
Well,
sir, we're not going to do that today. I think that you're doing what people have historically done to try and discolor a case or to make an argument on a false pretense.
Honestly, I didn't want to air any of their dirty laundry. I didn't want to air any of it. I didn't want to be dragged here either, though. So
you didn't want to come in there talking about gay. That didn't have anything to do with this case. Go ahead, man. Well, tell me about this. Did you have a substitute that he provided?
Yeah, no, and I want to reiterate, I found drugs in that place, so all this is in my mind, just
He was
drug,
high.
drug
Okay.
talk. It was all that craziness. Nobody would live.
Discoloration that you're talking about, you know, for
You're good. You're right. Using drugs to try and
Crazy
prove
drugs.
your point because you know that this man looked drugged out and he sound high, so you want to go to that when that may not have anything to do with it, does it?
Nobody.
Thanks, sir.
You being high and you being dope fiend got nothing to do with
nothing
this
to do with
rent.
any of it. That's right.
So
And
stop
nobody
it.
would.
No stereotypes of no type do I permit in here. Just because he
Sorry.
looked like a dope fiend and sound like a dope fiend, that doesn't mean he is. A lot of people do, but they're
Exactly.
not.
Okay.
Thank you. Exactly.
Fair enough.
yeah.
But I don't think anybody would move
Already out
into
there.
a house that looked like this
Let's see it.
when he left it.
But did he
He did not provide a
provide you
roommate.
with
No, he did not
another
provide
substitute?
Me. No, not at all. He just provided me with a lot of debt.
Can you prove you provided her with a substitute?
I haven't actually had contact with this person in a while because I've tried to detach myself from all this, but it seems to keep getting.
You mess with them opioids, are you?
No, sir. No opiates. Actually, I'm all good. I'm fine.
You ain't talking right. $3,050 is your judgment. The only defense he has is that he gave you a substitute. However, you can't prove it, and she denies it. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Judgment
Your
for the
Honor.
plaintiff.
Good luck. Good luck. Yeah, I just hope this man can get his story straight and his life straight because he is all kinds of messed up. Good luck to you. I'm glad justice was served.
Grave injustice done here today. She's a vicious harpy. I hope someone puts in her place at some point, and I hope her and her weirdo boyfriend can figure things out.
We broke up.
Plaintiff Keisha Edwards says she's been on her own since the age of 15, and she's working hard to get through school and get on with her career. Keisha is suing her former landlord, who refuses to return her security deposit. Defendant Charles Houston says he rented an apartment to the plaintiff and her ex-boyfriend, and he claims they fought so often that the police were always at the property. Charles is countersuing for property damages.
All right, and ma'am, you're suing the defendant for $225 for a security deposit.
Yes, sir.
You're countersuing for $375 for property damage.
Yes, sir.
Start with you, ma'am.
Well, I would just like to tell you a little about myself. I'm from Dayton, Ohio, and basically I've been on my own since I was 15. And I'm not just like this younger generation out here that everybody is judging to be. Like, I'm very responsible, all that adult things, like I'm not taken for granted.
You're not like this. This generation is loud. You're very quiet.
And nervous.
Soft-spoken.
And very nervous.
Tell me about yourself.
I just go to work and go home, and I'm trying to go to school, push through school, and that's just about it for me.
You don't party on the weekends?
No, not really. The most thing I do is watch Netflix and cook. So, like, more than likely, I don't be into commotion because it's dangerous, and I like my life.
You looking for a husband?
I'm looking for a career.
You're auditioning today. You're auditioning for a husband, sounds like to me. And you're doing pretty well.
Yeah,
So,
Sound like wifey material to me.
that's right.
Dedicated to career. You're not out here running the streets all the time and taking care of your business.
yeah.
Nice presentation.
Thank you.
All right. Let me hear from you, sir. Give me some background.
Well, I'm also from Dayton, Ohio. First, I'd like to start off by saying that, I really admire your story, how you changed your life. I've made a few mistakes in my life also. And, over the past year, I've managed to become an entrepreneur. I have my own property management company. And I started...
In Dayton?
Yes, sir. And I started a restaurant called Pat's Kitchen, just about 3 months ago. And it's doing pretty well.
All right. And where do you know the gentleman? Is it just from a rental Landlord, tenant?
It's basically I had like an ex-boyfriend and I've been knowing him for some time, and like the boyfriend is
Your ex-boyfriend knew him for some time?
No, he know his son.
Okay.
And yeah, like we all kind of like kicked it at his house, and it was just like he told me that he managed properties, and I wanted to get an apartment. Me and him did.
Okay. So what happened?
We looked into it and we liked it. We went in half on our rent, but he like prorated our rent for us, and I have the receipt here.
Let's see it, please. How much was it per month?
It's $450, but he prorated my rent to.
Okay, and the security deposit. Tell me why you're suing for that.
I just put half in. Like, I want the half that I put in. Like, more than likely, I gave the money whole to Trayvon because he had an event going on at his.
So you all moved, obviously.
Oh yeah, I moved out like within my 30 days.
And did you all do a walkthrough to determine whether any property was damaged?
I didn't because he was still there before I left. Like,
you all were joint tenants. You all were both responsible.
True. That's very true.
And so you want your half.
Yes, sir.
Of the deposit back, assuming that there was nothing deducted, because if there was something deducted for damages, then you'll have to deduct it from that deposit.
True.
And this boyfriend that went in with you, he's no longer around?
No.
Okay.
The same day it happened, I let him know and I contacted him and let him know like why it happened and how. Like I wasn't trying to break it. Like I got locked out. Like it was a situation where she actually witnessed that. Like she pulled up and I had to like budge the door in just to get into my apartment.
Who locked you out?
The boyfriend.
You want to speak, young lady?
Yes, I'll speak.
Come on up. State your name.
My name is Kiera Emerson. I picked up my best friend Keisha Edwards from her home. She called me stating that she has been locked out. She had her keys. Her keys is untwisting the locks, but the door itself is not pushing open because he have boards holding the door shut. She pushed the door open. The door was off the hinges.
Yeah.
And they called the police. The police came. The police stated that they couldn't do anything because she was on the lease. I was there. She did contact her landlord and did tell her landlord about it.
Sir, you want to tell me about this?
Yes, like she stated, her ex-boyfriend Trayvon is a good friend of my son. I've known him for quite some time. They moved in like the 21st of April. So I prorated the rent. It was $155. The deposit was $450. Trayvon gave me the money. I wrote him a receipt and everything. Everything seemed fine. They moved in. The whole time they were there, I mean, they've had quite a few incidents in a short amount of time. Police has been called out there a couple of times. Now when the day about the door, all I know is Trayvon called me. He said, they had got into it, and he said that he wanted to put her out. I said, well, look, that's between y'all. I don't have anything to do with that. That's a civil matter. I'm just a landlord. So I guess he had put something to keep her out. She went, kicked the door in. Well, I don't know, kicked it in, pushed it in. I don't know what she did, but it damaged the frame of the door and the hinges also. They stated that they would repair the door. That never happened. I had to pay for the repairs myself. She actually text messaged me, which I have a picture of the text message when she said that she kicked the door in.
Okay. I mean, so you have the expense or what it costs to repair?
Yes.
And all the repairs that you made?
Yes.
And did you deduct the repairs from the $450?
Yes, sir, I did.
This says $375?
Yes.
It's $75.
Right. And my thing with her was that, I never received the deposit from her. I got it from Trayvon now. As far as whatever the arrangement they had, I wasn't made aware of anything. So, it's my responsibility to get a person who gave me the money back because the receipt was.
Well, they were joint tenants, right?
Yes, sir.
And those tenants
and I never had a chance to speak with anybody. And then, we never done a walkthrough. They just left the place a mess. That's what the $75 for was, to get the apartment cleaned out.
And your counterclaim's $375 for property and property damage, and I suppose that's these receipts.
Yes, sir.
So you're in essence saying if she wins, then you should win based on the damage you had to repair.
Yes, sir.
All right, got it. Ma'am, sounds like you made all the good choices except for a man. You all had a very tumultuous relationship from the time you moved in. What was going on?
The first week we moved in, we had fought, yeah. And the first time is when the door got kicked down. It's the first, second, 2 times the very first time that they got caught. That was literally the only time. When we moved in, it was my very first week there, we seen a deep nail getting cut from the pole. Now, I don't know nothing. I just know that we have electricity. More than likely, we call him. He lets us know more than likely that he did not get the proper inspection done.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm
but what
sorry.
I do know is you want a security deposit back that was not given in your name. It was joint tenant, so whatever your boyfriend was responsible for, so are you. And you're suing him to get back a deposit after you all admittedly kicked in the door and damaged it. It cost $375, $300 to repair the door that you admittedly kicked in, and $75 for the other cleaning, which is probably a low amount. Seems like he's being very fair with you. And so he admits to owing $75, and I'll grant you the $75, and the rest was a legitimate cost assessed against the both of you. Have a good day.
I just feel like I probably shouldn't even have moved into the apartment in the first place if I would have known that the deep nail situation. Like, I probably would have just spared us all this whole thing.
Well, as I said, she was a tenant with Trayvon, so, you know, I'm just glad it's over with. I'm happy with the judge's decision, and you know, hopefully she learned something from this, because I know I did.
Plaintiff Keith Hudson says when he moved to Chicago from Louisiana, everything was great until he started having issues with his neighbor, the defendant. Keith claims the defendant not only damaged some of his planters, but she also dirtied his car and killed one of his rose bushes, so he's suing. Defendant Mia Portis admits that she's had some run-ins with Keith, but insists she has never done anything malicious. Mia's countersuing for harassment because she claims Keith not only threatened to harm her property, but he also threatened to harm her.
All rise. This court is now in session. The Honorable Judge Greg Mathis presiding. You may now be seated.
Start with you.
Your Honor, in 2014, I was involved in a near-fatal automobile accident with an 18-wheeler, and I'm just fortunate to be alive in Louisiana. So during that time frame, I started receiving steroid injections, which caused me to pick up a couple of pounds. So the doctors advised me at that point in time to lose a few pounds before having back surgery. And I'm happy to report that I lost over 50 pounds and been able to maintain that weight loss. In 2016, I moved from New Orleans, Louisiana to Chicago, Illinois for two reasons. One, because I knew Chicago was a city I could move around using the transit system because I no longer wanted to drive. And two, it was a better team of doctors I could choose for having back surgery.
And three, he loves cold weather.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So things were going well. I had my back surgery. Things were really going well. It felt like a new lease on life. And then in February of 2019, I purchased a new home. And again, things were going well until my neighbor, Mia Portis, and I began to have problems.
Ruin your life. Everything was going fine.
Absolutely, Your Honor.
Till she wouldn't go with you. Go ahead.
There were a couple of incidents that happened.
No, I know. Go ahead, sir.
There was a couple of incidents that happened. First, it was I had in April of 2019, I had placed 8 potters on my back balconies. During that time frame, the planters, they didn't have holes in them. And I purposely got them that way because, you know, there's a neighbor underneath of me and I didn't want any watering to drain when I watered my plants. Well, one day I came home from work, Mia Portis told me that she and another neighbor had drilled holes in my planters. Didn't ask them to do so, they just did it on their own.
Why did they say they did it?
For drainage, proper drainage of the water.
So they were helping you? Or competing for you?
Well, they were, I'm not for sure either, sir. I purposely bought the planters so that they wouldn't drain onto the property underneath me. And eventually—
What was the next problem you had?
So the next problem was then in late June of 2019, I had just detailed my own car. I cleaned it out totally because I was going to take my first road trip. and I was going to try to drive to Memphis, Memphis, Tennessee. And so I was getting prepared for this trip. I cleaned out the car and everything, and I left the top down. And I hardly ever used my car. And so the day for my trip, I went out into the garage. I put my stuff in the car, got on the road, and noticed that my vehicle had dirt all over it. On the inside, outside, every place. Just a dusting of dirt.
You had plants in there?
No, sir, I didn't.
She had something to do with it, you suspect?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me get some background from you, and then I'll get back to you on the specifics.
Yes, sir.
Ma'am?
Well, I am a teacher. I have a stressful position, demanding position. So when I come home, I'm trying to live the opposite life. I purchased in November. 3 months later, he purchased. I was very happy when he moved in. We were definitely neighborly. In the sense that I took packages for him. He came over my house and drilled a hole for me. We exchanged pleasantries. We didn't have any problems. He is right. The problems did start with the drainage of the plant and the layer of dust.
So what
on
was
his
that
car.
about, the plant?
So what happened was I was in the backyard of the neighbor he's speaking about. They're both gardening enthusiasts. So she has bad knees. So she asked me to go on, we share a long balcony. She asked me to go get the planters, and she was going to drill holes. I was excited. We all got along. I thought, as you said, she's doing him a favor. They both know a lot about gardening. I went and got the planters for her. So he's right. When he came home, I was excited. And I said, hey, the neighbor drilled the holes in it because she said you didn't have any holes. And I did notice he was way less than enthusiastic. And I was like, oh, okay. And he was like, oh, thanks. And I just, walked away because I could see he didn't really appreciate it.
Yeah, they had broke up by then.
Yeah, so then he is right. I did sweep the garage.
And you had busted him. He really was winking at you, and you had busted him all together. First you first you find out he ain't going with her no more. Now you're acting that way.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, definitely not.
Right.
So I did. He is right. I did get his car dirty. It wasn't anything malicious.
Give me the specifics of the car.
I discovered it was dirty on my first stop, and on the road and everything. And my clothing was dirty, and I was just frustrated because I knew I had cleaned my vehicle out, and I hadn't been in it for 2 weeks because I'm really nervous about driving. So when I got back home, I looked in the garage. There could only be two issues. Either I took the car out and it got dirty, or it got dirty in the garage. And so I looked at her side and it was clean, and my other neighbor and my side was dirty. So I assumed that she swept her side of the garage, and I leave my top down, so easy access. It's a convertible, Your Honor. And so easy access to, just get in and go. I had to get a full detail in Memphis for $189. So then the next issue is then in November of 2019, I brought in my rose bushes from the outside to bring into the garage.
November 19, you say you got plenty of money. Brought you a Rolls Royce, all right.
No, sir, not a Rolls Royce. A rose bush.
Oh, I thought you said you bought a rose and put it in your garage.
No, remember, I'm a plant enthusiast.
That's what I say. You might well something going on there. I don't know what you planting. You can't get that off weed plants. Right. You had to have coca plant to get your Rolls Royce and be laid off for not working. Okay, but you did say in the garage, so I ain't crazy. Go ahead. You put your rose bushes. R-O-S-E.
Yes.
Not R-O-L-L-S.
There you go.
All right. In the garage.
Yes, sir. I had 2 rose bushes. I
bet you get women off that, don't you? Hey, baby, I got a rose in the garage.
There you
go. they get that. Let me see this Rolls Royce you got in the garage. That's after things happen, huh?
There you go.
I'll show you in a minute. I'll show you later on. Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Your Honor.
You put your rolls in the garage. What was the purpose of
So just so that, because they were new, they weren't strong enough to survive the winter here in Chicago, I thought. So I brought them in and I put one on each side of the garage. Now I'm in the center of the garage, so I have the center parking space, and I really don't have any storage, but at the back of the door. And so I put one on each side, you know, so not to inconvenience one person, but, you know, it was just one on each side. Ms. Porter then started taking it upon herself to move that plant on her side. Well, it wasn't on her side, but near her side of the garage.
So what damage was done?
So the rosebush died. It would never, when I brought it out this year, it never lived again.
And you attribute that to
Ms. Porter's moving it back and forth. Plants don't like to be moved a lot.
All right. Ma'am,
So
tell me about the dirt. It sounds like I heard you about to admit to that. What happened there?
So the first issue with the dirt, I was in my garage doing something, and I realized it was just really dirty. So I pulled my car into the alley. It was a summer day, and I swept my garage. And he had his windows up. He did have his top dropped. I have a push broom, and I was painstakingly sweeping. It wasn't anything malicious, and I was just cleaning my garage. So I heard the plaintiff and the neighbor, he was furious about something about his car. And when I listened more, I said, oh shoot, I must have gotten his car dirty. So I caught him on his back balcony one day, and I said, hey, I was listening to my Ring, and you were really upset about your car being dirty. I was like, did I get your car dirty? I said, if I got your car dirty, let me pay for it. I'll pay for it to get it cleaned. He refused any kind of conversation. I was like, I'm trying to talk to you. I can't talk to you right now. He's shaking. He's so angry. And I'm like, well, cool. Okay, then I go downstairs and go about my merry way.
What about the rose?
On page 19 is what the space looks like when his car is not there. Page 17 is what it looks. This is the space that I have to travel to get to my car. So I don't have hardly any space. And prior to this bag being on there, he just had the rose bush.
You all have mutual use of the garage.
Yeah, so where that door is, that is his space. And he doesn't have any space to store.
He stored the rose within his zone?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay.
And actually, he is right. I did move it. But I never pick it up because half the time, as you can see on page 19, the thorns are sticking out. And he waters it a lot.
How did you move it then?
So when I moved it, I'll move it, you know, with my coat or with my foot, just moving it back.
What did you say when he approached you about the rose?
He never approached me.
Sir, you never said anything to her about this rose?
Yes and no, sir. Can I
Sure, go right
elaborate?
ahead.
So let's go back to the issue with the vehicle being damaged from her first sweeping.
From the dirt.
From the dirt. So she is correct. She did approach me one day after work in August. And she is correct. She stated that she overheard the conversation between the other neighbor and myself. I was asking my other neighbors for some friendly advice on how to approach the situation with Mrs. Portis. I thought my other neighbor was impartial enough to keep that conversation private. She immediately told Ms. Portis. And I wasn't ready to deal with her and that issue at that point in time because my family, there was a hurricane in New Orleans at that point in time, and I was really busy trying to help them.
And that was when?
This was in August, early August of 2019.
When did you become interested in talking to her about it?
No, she is correct. She did approach me on the back porch one day, coming home from work, and she said, Key, can I talk to you for a minute? I said, sure. She said, well, you know, I hear you've been complaining. And I said, hold up for a second. I said, already, you're coming to me incorrectly.
Okay.
I said, the problem is not about me complaining to someone else. The problem is that you're going into the garage doing anything and everything that you feel you want to do. But this is a shared space and you can't just do whatever you want to do.
So she didn't mention the rose specifically?
This was about the car and we never had a conversation regarding the rose at all.
That's what I'm saying, ever. We
did in the garage. One day
you said we never had a conversation about the rose at all. When I say ever, you say, well, we did have one.
Okay, yes, sir, we did eventually. After she had,
ever, that's what that means.
Yes, we did. After she had moved it a couple of times and I just got so frustrated, I waited for her in the garage. This is early February of 2020. I waited in the garage and I said, and I moved some her boxes in the center of her parking space. So when she came in the garage, she bumped into her own boxes. And then she said, "Can I ask you, why are you moving my items?" I said, "I would like to ask you that same question."
Sir, do you have any evidence of what her moving the rose would do to it? I have no idea whether picking up a rose, putting it somewhere else, would cause it to die.
Yes,
I just don't know that to be the case.
No, I didn't bring any evidence, no, sir.
All right, and the counterclaim for harassment, what did he do to you?
So that day with the boxes, when I came home, I was backing into the garage, and he had placed those boxes in the middle of my garage so I couldn't back in. And I said, "Hey, you've been moving my stuff. Please stop moving my things. Why are you moving my stuff?" And then I said, "Are you still upset about me getting your car dirty? Dude, I'll pay for you." I asked him the second time. I said, "Dude, I'll pay to get your car rewashed. Stop moving my stuff." That's when he went into B, "Stop talking to me. I don't even like your A." And then he said, "I'll you and all this S up." And I said, "Oh, you crazy. I'm leaving." That's literally what I said to him. And I left out of the garage because if somebody tell you they're going to you up, I believe you.
How much was the car? Was it for the detailing?
Yes, sir. So I had to, it was $200.
You have anything? Did you give me a receipt?
Yes,
on
sir.
that?
There is a receipt. It is, I also had to get a police report done on page 10.
Can I just have the
Okay.
receipt for the car? Nobody
The receipt
listening
is
to
on
all
page
this
8, Your Honor.
nonsense. Somebody moving a box, moving a rolls, and y'all come in here want thousands of dollars for it. What do you have?
On page 8, Your Honor.
She moved my road, give me $8,000. He moved my box, give me $5,000. Give you this $100. What did it cost for you to detail? $254, sir?
No, it's $200.
Okay, that's your
Page 8.
judgment. $200. This is over. This is over. This is move yourself out of here. Y'all like moving so much. Move that. All right. Have a good day.
Plaintiffs Thomas Cust and his girlfriend Kelsey Anderson rented an apartment to the defendants. Kelsey claims they terrorized their upstairs tenant so much that she broke her lease and moved out. They're suing for unpaid rent. Defendants Adrian Rayford and his wife Candace Bostic say while renting the plaintiff's apartment, the plaintiffs were rehabbing the unit downstairs, and they were constantly drunk and arguing. They're countersuing for emotional distress.
Start with you.
The defendants, Adrian and Candace, moved in May of 2017, and right from the get-go, there was problems, headaches, complaints. We had tenants move in upstairs in October, end of October, and they literally terrorized the woman to a point where she felt in such stress and such fear for her own life, she actually broke her lease and vacated the premises early and broke her lease.
She told you that's why?
We actually have a letter from her. We received text messages from her saying they had locked her out.
How did they lock her out?
Well, common
From
area.
the common front area, and actually also here's
Loud music.
blaring music. We actually have a video we can show you. This is the picture of the police out.
Oil. And what other problems? This is October. You say they
Yep,
moved in May of 17.
Yes, parking in the tenants' parking spots, cigarette butts on the lawn, blocking the basement door, denying us access to the basement area.
Blocked it how?
They put a wooden board across the door, so we were not able to get in. We were able to unlock.
Why they did that?
We asked them on several occasions to remedy that.
Did they say why they did it?
Actually, yes, she did. I received a text message from her after I had spoke with her about it, and she had said she didn't feel safe in that neighborhood. I'm not going to apologize for locking the door. The point is, I'm tired of it. She thinks it's horrible here. I can just imagine if she had the minority living below her. Just saying. That's a copy of this.
Wait, what? Minority living below? What are you talking about?
What's your text?
That's the text message. I can't. I'm just saying what she had
said. Wide open to anyone to just walk in. I'm not going to apologize for locking the door. The point is, I'm tired of it. She thinks it's horrible here.
This was the upstairs tenant because I had sent her a text message regarding the blaring
I can just
music.
imagine if she had the minority living below her. Just saying. If I lived below her, I promise you it wouldn't be a problem. Just saying, we keep to ourselves and have no other issues with anyone but her. She's the problem. So whatever sob story she gave you is nothing but a cry for attention. Maybe she's making up excuses to break her lease. I don't know. All I ask is to talk to us before you call and jump down our throats. Well, she's just denying what the tenant is saying. And, you know, that means she doesn't think they're doing anything wrong.
Right. We actually have a video because the tenant had texted us several times regarding blaring music, and she actually had to notify the authorities, and the authorities did issue him a citation. And that is also stated in the letter.
This was when?
In January.
Do you have a copy of that?
I do not have that,
Okay.
but I do have the pictures of the police officers outside the house.
You gave me
sent you the
that.
picture.
All right.
Yes.
That's what you're referring to?
Yes.
Okay. That's not them. That's black people. And that's what she said. That was she said. I was going by what she said. That's what she said. Only minorities would do such a thing. Go ahead. Let me hear from you all.
We moved into their apartment on May 17th. They were remodeling the downstairs. Every day that they were there working, they were intoxicated. Always had a bottle of vodka.
That is a blatant lie.
Okay.
No, it's not.
They argued and fought with each other.
Again, that is a total lie.
Quiet, ma'am. They didn't interrupt you. Go ahead.
They argued for 5 months back and forth, and we were living upstairs during all this. He's constantly yelling at his workers, screaming, slamming stuff.
The workers who were
his family, his brothers that were helping him.
Repairing the home or something, or repairing the apartment?
Remodeling the downstairs.
Okay.
We were upstairs, and
you all ever complained to her about this or him?
Not so much. I mean, there was times where they would stay the night. They'd be too intoxicated to drive home.
Sleeping in their car.
Find them in the car in the morning in the driveway.
Is that true? Did that happen?
That is a complete lie. They actually did complain to us about. They did actually complain to us about the noise because she was working the night shift at the time.
Why are they gonna say they found you in the driveway? They don't have to make that up.
That is a blatant lie.
Tom even came.
Hold on, that is a blatant lie, Your Honor. I was actually.
You said, hold on. He wants you to,
I was actually.
Sir, then you hear she said, "Shut up." Trying to talk. She run this. It's her program. She thought
I just
this
wanted
was.
to. Tom even came upstairs because he was intoxicated and not feeling the greatest, and I gave him something to eat and something to drink before he drove home.
All right. And
there's more to that.
Go ahead.
After the downstairs was remodeled, we moved downstairs. Now, the place was just freshly remodeled, and I found Coke bags in the bathroom, little green baggies with powder in them.
God, that's such a lie.
I asked him about it. I said, hey, I found these baggies in there. And he laughed and said, oh, it must have been from the last people that lived there. The whole place just got remodeled and redone,
cleaned out.
literally.
Such a lie.
So I don't know where these bags
Why
came
would we
from.
make that up?
It came from the contractor. Now go ahead. What else?
One day the door was locked.
Then you say your brother was working down there too, whose relatives? Oh, his relatives.
Yes.
All right. Well, somebody's just a cokehead between the two families. I don't know who it is.
One day
you ever get you a blow every now and then?
No.
I'm just asking. A lot of times people don't know what their spouse or their family member is doing.
No.
I've had folks in here all the time don't know that the man was a crackhead when they got together. How long you all been together?
10 years.
10 years.
Oh, okay. You know by now. All right. So it wasn't hers. All right. We got that out the way.
And then, one day, he came over to the house, beating on the door because the basement was locked. I mean, this guy's beating on the door like it's the police, like they're kicking the door in. I answered the door. I was in my underwear. I had just woken up, and I answered the door. And I was like, "What's wrong, Tom?" And he starts screaming, spit flying out of his mouth. I can smell the booze on him.
Trying to force his way
yelling
in.
at me about the basement being locked. So I closed the door because I'm not ready to deal with this. I'm just waking up, and he grabbed the door and trying to pry his way in there, yelling at me on the other side of the door. I hit the top lock and locked it, and he's hitting the door again. He told me I was going to be evicted for locking the basement door, and the bar was already there. I just was the one that put it up.
All right, they're suing for unpaid rent, $3,600. Let's hear about that.
Starting in October, Adrian had notified us that he was having back surgery and that there was going to possibly be issues with rent because he was going to be getting disability checks. We spoke with them about this, and we worked with them from October, November, December, January to kind of get squared up with what they were delinquent in. Come February, they paid partial rent. They owed $200 remaining in February. March, April, May, they did not pay. We did not receive any monies from February forward. And then at the beginning of May, we notified them that we were going to be showing the place. We did so again at the end of May. They sent us text messages. We were not allowed to show the place.
Showing it based on what? Hold on. Showing it based on what? They had agreed to move, or you all had evicted them? How can you show something where the lease
we had issued them a 5 days to pay or vacate. They acknowledged that they received the letter via text to Tom. They acknowledged that on May 10th. They did not pay. They did not vacate.
Did they tell you they intended to vacate?
They did not. He actually on May 13th said, I have most of the cash for you. I'm hoping to have all the monies by the end of the month. He did not.
You can't adjust their tenancy unless the court tells you you can by way of eviction.
Right, and we went to, and we did.
When did you start showing the house?
We did not start showing it because they would not allow us to via
And
text.
was that before you went to court, they wouldn't allow you to?
Yes, but per their lease agreement, Your Honor, it does actually say that we do have the right to show the place as long as we give them adequate notice. We notified them, and then we started getting text messages when we were reminding them about the showing that we were not allowed in. There were no trespassing signs.
Let's
and they
see the
had
lease
dogs.
that says that. Did you all know the lease allows, even prior to you all moving, that they can come in at will?
No. Your Honor, it's not at will. We give notification, and the reason that...
Did you give them the day and time?
Well, the reason being is yes.
We told them on Saturday.
So that we don't have to go a month without having the place rented.
You gave them a day and time.
And then they don't show up.
That is absolutely not true, Your Honor.
And I agreed to be out of the house by the 1st of June.
And when did you get evicted?
We never got evicted.
You never got a judgment of eviction?
No, they send it to the last address.
She says they never gotten a judgment for eviction.
On June 12th, we went to court in Racine, Wisconsin, and since they had vacated the premise, the judge did not have to order the writ of eviction since they had already vacated the premise on June 1st.
Okay, so that means you don't get any money.
What's that?
That means you don't get any money. The judge said since they had left, there was no reason to hear the case anymore.
But they still owed the money, and that's why we were proceeding. That's why
I need to see the judgment, because the judge may not have said that.
You're
what do you have? I didn't ask you
we don't have money.
This is proof that he says.
Tell me what it is before I boss him around.
I'm sorry. What is it? This is the text message that we received on Sunday, May 13th from Adrian saying, I'm trying to have all the money for you and I'm waiting on another check and should have it all. So he's admitting that he owes the money in rent.
If it says that, sir?
I don't know anything, sir. We had a verbal agreement, Tom and I, about taking care of the property, doing the tree work on it.
Absolutely.
And I'd be able to stay until I got back.
I'm trying to have all the cash for you, and I have most of it. I'm waiting on another check, and I should have it all.
I was receiving the benefit checks, and something I fell off auto pay with the insurance company, so I didn't get them for about 3 months. And I told him about all that, and I was waiting for the checks. And he walked the property with me. He said, "You do all this tree work, you maintain the property. You can stay here until you get back to work, and then you will continue."
Your response was, "I'm trying to have all the cash."
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So you turned that deal down because you told him you were trying to have all the cash. Your counterclaim $3,600. What did they do to you all?
Distress.
Tell me what they did.
Emotional distress. Him trying to come in my house, and he knows I got rights. He can't come in my house just.
And what happened when he came in?
Oh, he tried. I got the door locked.
Okay, well, if he tried and he didn't make it, you didn't suffer any emotional distress. All right, I'll grant you the judgment based on his text saying that he'll pay. Your claim is dismissed. No emotional distress. Judgment for the plaintiff. Your claim is dismissed.
Thank you. Good day. I think the judgment is fair, and I'm just happy we get to move forward.
I'm happy that they're out.
We're happy to be gone.
I'm happy to be gone and not deal with someone like you.